My husband John was in a car accident, critically injured and on the brink of death. The doctor said resuscitation efforts would be futile and advised me to prepare for the worst. I was more than prepared. With a wave of my hand, I declared we wouldn't burden the hospital further. Death certificate issued. Household registration cancelled. Body sent to the crematorium. 6 hours later, he was reduced to ashes. I patted the urn. John, what a saint you turned out to be. Wealthy beyond measure. Dying young without a will, leaving me 2/3 of everything. Could any man be more considerate? With such thoughtfulness from beyond the grave, I felt compelled to reciprocate. I called the luxury resort where Mr. and Mrs. Wilson were vacationing, instructing the attending physician to administer all the most expensive tests and nutritional supplements. Losing a son could devastate elderly parents. Better fortify their health preemptively. Then there was his mistress. While John lived, I'd turned a blind eye. But with him gone, time for reckoning. I arrived at her apartment with movers, commanding, "Empty it." Diana wasn't home. Perfect. We tagged everything except personal items, stripping the place bare. The bed remained. I wouldn't touch that soiled thing. Sorting through the hall took all night. By dawn, recyclers carted off unwanted items. Their truck hadn't cleared the curb when police arrived. "Ivy? You're accused of burglary." "Officers, I'm law-abiding." At the station, Diana charged at me, screaming, "You thief." I eyed her 7-month pregnancy bump. "Careful now, wouldn't want that baby accidentally miscarried during your theatrics." She lunged harder. "Officer." I ducked behind police. "She's trying to frame me with her unborn child." The exchanged glances spoke volumes about my enthusiastic legal awareness. Interrogators showed photos of emptied rooms. "You think this is some Hollywood heist? But the property's mine." I produced deeds, payment records, ID. Their confusion mirrored Diana's panic when confronted. "List every stolen item," detectives demanded. I smirked, curious what a jobless woman owns after 5 years. Her pen hovered over blank paper. She never mentioned the gold bars John had smuggled into that hidden safe, now securely relocated. Without property ownership, her claims rang hollow. The scolding Diana received was music to my ears. Let her choke on that humiliation. Some people never learn you don't steal from the wife while cozying up to death's door. I was also scolded and told that I should have notified the residents before moving out to avoid this misunderstanding and wasted police resources. I immediately apologized profusely and promised it wouldn't happen again. Diana and I walked out of the police station together. I formally notified her, "I'm selling the house. You've got 3 days to move out. Otherwise, pay rent $3,000 a month." "Are you robbing me?" Diana shrieked. I eyed her sideways. "Golden Park Estates. Prime location, luxury penthouse. You think that's not worth $3,000? Feel free to check online." She knew I was right. Clenching her teeth, she hissed, "Ivy, don't get cocky. I'll tell John everything you've done. Just wait until he settles accounts with you." "Oh really?" I smiled. "You've already called him, haven't you? Did he pick up?" Her face paled as she gripped her phone tighter. My smile widened. "Save your breath. He can't answer anymore. He's currently a pile of ashes." "You heartless witch!" Diana screamed, clutching her stomach. "How could you curse your own husband? After all those years together?" I winced at her volume. When she finally stopped, I said calmly, "Funny you remember he was my husband. Why so emotional? Don't believe me? Check yesterday's 10 a.m. traffic accident reports. Here's his cremation certificate copy." I shoved the paper into her hands and drove off, her shrill cries fading behind me. In the rearview mirror, I saw her collapse. I considered calling 911. then remembered we'd just left the police station. Public resources should handle it. I mused, proud of my civic-mindedness. Back home, I ignored my buzzing phone, enjoyed a long bath, ate well, and slept until the security guard called. Ms. Peter, there's a couple here claiming to be your in-laws. Mrs. Wilson's screech came through the intercom. Ivy, how dare you cremate John without letting us say goodbye? You vicious. I hung up. Smart guards at my private condo didn't recognize the Wilsons. My phone showed hundreds of missed calls. I deleted them all. Next morning, police arrived again. You're accused of murder. I'm innocent. Model citizen here. I protested dramatically. At the station, I found Diana and the Wilsons. Mrs. Wilson lunged at me, murderess. You killed my son. I ducked behind an officer. Officer, domestic violence is illegal. Protect me. The interrogator slid a document across the table. The Wilsons claim you tampered with John's brakes. His car was last serviced 3 days before the crash by you. I sighed. I skipped maintenance that week. My cheating husband wanted a divorce. We had a fight. Should I keep his corpse for Christmas? If it were legal, I'd use his ashes as fertilizer. The detectives exchanged looks. And the hasty cremation? Do you need an auspicious date for cremations now? I blinked innocently. When pressed, I explained, I built that business with him from nothing. Now he wanted to leave me for some gold digger? Let the security footage show I threw him out. The officers finally released me. Their expressions priceless. Mrs. Wilson's threats followed me out. This isn't over. I smiled. Oh, but it was. John's life insurance would clear my debts. And the prenup left Diana penniless. Sometimes karma needs a nudge. They called Mr. and Mrs. Wilson and Diana over. The moment Diana walked in, she demanded, Officer, you've confirmed it by now, right? John was murdered by Ivy. The officer glared at her. What's it to you? What relation are you to John? Diana flushed crimson, turning pitifully to Mrs. Wilson. Auntie. This is my goddaughter. John's godsister. Mrs. Wilson declared, chin jutting out. Legal system doesn't recognize spiritual kinship. John had no relation to her. Stop inserting yourself where you don't belong. The officer snapped. Diana stood rigid, speechless. After verifying with the property management and reviewing security footage, the officer concluded, records show John did return home on the scheduled maintenance day when you two had that public argument. Multiple witnesses saw you chasing him out with objects. The delayed car maintenance was his own fault. Though the cremation happened quickly, all procedures were lawful. You have the right to file reports. But making baseless accusations without evidence could lead to legal consequences. Understood? Mrs. Wilson ignored the lecture, lunging at me the moment she heard I wasn't liable. Ivy, you heartless monster. You didn't even let me see my son one last time. I ducked behind the officer with practiced ease. Mom, let's be clear. It wasn't about denying you closure. John fell from a 30-meter cliff. The remains were graphic. Even I could barely stomach it. Imagine if you'd seen that. We'd be planning 2 funerals instead of 1. I did this for your own good. You're wishing me dead now? She shrieked, her outrage mirroring Diana's earlier tantrum. The officer restraining her shot me a warning look. Must you keep provoking her? Absolutely not. I mimed, zipping my lips. All compliance. It took threats of disorderly conduct charges before Mrs. Wilson finally quieted down. Outside the station, she glared daggers while I turned to Diana. Have you moved out yet? I'm listing the house. Ivy. You're inhuman. Diana immediately waterworks Ed toward the Wilsons. What's this about eviction? Mrs. Wilson rounded on me. That's my son's property. She stays. It was John and my marital home. Now that he's gone, I hold 2/3 ownership. You two combined get the remaining third. Should I partition the balcony and bathroom for Diana? I offered helpfully. The 270-degree wraparound balcony meets the square footage requirements. And I'll throw in the bathroom gratis. Mrs. Wilson turned apoplectic, sputtering incoherently, brushing past her. I gave Diana my ultimatum, last day's tomorrow. If your stuff's still there, I'm changing the locks. Whatever gets left behind becomes landfill decor. But Auntie, where will I go? Diana clutched her bump dramatically. In my condition, come stay at the convalescent home with us. Mrs. Wilson crowed, shooting me a triumphant look. We'll have proper care there. As they swept past, Diana flashed me a smug glance over her shoulder. I collapsed into my car seat, grinning. Perfect. That luxury care facility costs $15,000 monthly. Hope they enjoy their extended stay. Dialing the head physician, I purred. The Wilsons are bringing a VIP guest, a pregnant woman. Spare no expense on her prenatal care and accommodations. Top tier everything. Home sweet home. I booked a spa facial, uncorked a Bordeaux blend with my filet mignon, and drifted into blissful sleep after mailing the official inheritance documents. Dawn broke with a lawyer's letter, Ms. Peter. Regarding John's estate, Diana claims her unborn child is entitled to a share. She's filed suit. Appear in court promptly. Court? Bring it. Survived murder accusations, a cash grab's child's play. In the courtroom, Diana cradled her belly. This is John's baby. The inheritance should reflect that. Really? I smirked. Prove it. What more proof do you need? She shrilled. I'm carrying his child. Paternity test. I spread my hands. Produce that, and I'll write the check myself. Diana's face contorted. You burned him to ashes. How could I possibly? Ah. I turned to the judge. Your Honor. She admits having no scientific evidence. Why are we here? The judge massaged his temples. This is highly irregular. But I have witnesses. Diana cried. The Wilsons can confirm. Mrs. Wilson surged up. My Johnny was with Diana. That's my grandbaby. Your Honor. I sighed. Basic jurisprudence without DNA. Even parental testimony means zilch. As Mrs. Wilson short-circuited over the legalese. Mr. Wilson produced documents. We've got proof. This kinship report shows Diana's child shares our DNA. Since John was our only son, it's clearly his. The judge examined the papers while Mr. Wilson preened. I barely stifled a laugh. Leaning toward my attorney, I whispered. They just admitted to taking a grandparentage test instead of paternity. Checkmate. The room erupted as comprehension dawned. Outside, autumn leaves swirled nature's confetti for the victory lap ahead. The judge was reviewing documents when he paused upon hearing this. The evidence is invalid. Mr. Wilson instantly flushed crimson, slamming his fist on the table. Why won't you accept it? The paternity test clearly shows the child shares my bloodline. Dad. Calm down. Ivy. Interjected. Maintaining courtroom decorum. As previously stated, paternity tests require the alleged father's participation. Unless John himself submitted the sample, I let the implication hang before adding pointedly. Unless you're suggesting John has secret siblings? The courtroom erupted as Mrs. Wilson launched herself at her husband. You filthy old cheat. When were you arrested? What brothel visits? Security intervened as the veteran judge massaged his temples. Regaining composure. Mr. Wilson hissed at his wife. We'll settle our issues later. Focus on securing our grandchild's inheritance. The judge delivered a stern lecture on burden of proof while Diana made her move, rubbing artificially reddened eyes. The pregnant woman approached me. Ivy, I know we wronged you, but this baby is John's last legacy. Have mercy on his flesh and blood. How tragic. I deadpanned. 3 hopeful faces leaned forward. Too bad I don't believe you. Chaos erupted again. Bailiffs shielded me as the Wilsons and Diana lunged. Try me. I smirked. This is a courthouse. 3 months later found me back in the same courtroom. The Wilsons had lawyered up this time. Their attorney droned through financial records for 40 minutes until my $100,000 per year counsel countered with forensic accounting files and property valuation reports. Gifted property, my lawyer emphasized. Producing notarized documents when Mrs. Wilson shrieked about missing villas. The 3-story Beverly Hills Estates deed bore 2 signatures, Ivy, Peter, and John. As opposing counsel stammered, Mrs. Wilson berated her legal team. Useless. I paid $15,000 for this? The judge's gavel echoed. This court recognizes no valid claim to Mr. Wilson's estate without probate documentation. Case dismissed. Walking past the seething Wilsons, I adjusted my Prada sunglasses. Better luck next time. The bailiffs discreetly stepped between us as I strolled to my waiting Mercedes. Recipient, my parents. Mrs. Wilson completely lost it. Jumping up and down screaming. Impossible. My son hasn't even given me a house this nice. How could he give it to that bitch's parents? This has to be fake. I couldn't be bothered to argue. Whether it's fake or not, Diana knows best. When it comes to grabbing money, of course Diana would show up. She sat in the plaintiff's seat, paling when I pointed the finger at her. She clenched her jaw, staying silent. My lawyer didn't wait for her, calmly producing another USB drive to play in court. Well. There was the notarized video from the public notary office showing John standing right there giving his consent. Mrs. Wilson was stunned, collapsing to the floor wailing. Ivy. You vixen. What kind of spell did you cast on my son to get all his money? I watched the drama unfold, remarking, like I said, with my lawyer here, a walking money-making machine, you really think there'd be loopholes? If he dared leave any gaps, I'd make him cough up every penny I spent. Just as I was enjoying the show, Diana suddenly stood up shouting, Ivy is hiding money. I can testify. This outburst was genuinely unexpected. Mrs. Wilson perked up. Diana, did you remember something? Tell us. What evidence do you have? Our family's money can't let that bitch take it all. Diana gritted her teeth, mustering all her resolve. John converted some cash into gold bars as insurance. All those bars were taken by Ivy. The judge raised an eyebrow, sensing the plot thickening. How much? Diana pressed her lips together before finally muttering. Over 100 million. Judge, speak up. I didn't hear you. Diana, 100 million. Before I could respond, Mrs. Wilson shrieked. 100 million. Diana, why didn't you tell us earlier? Mrs. Wilson stared at Diana in horrified astonishment, her gaze transforming. Now that someone else took the gold bars, she speaks up. If they hadn't been taken, would Diana have tried to keep them all herself? She glared viciously at Diana. We'll settle this later. Emboldened by Diana's claim, Mrs. Wilson squared her shoulders at the judge. Your Honor, make Ivy tell us where she hid those gold bars. The judge looked to me. With utmost sincerity, I stated, Diana never gave me anything. I'm not lying, a judge with your experience can detect lies. But honestly, Diana didn't hand me anything. I used movers. The judge turned to Diana, who panicked. She took them. Stole them from my house. I even filed a police report. My lawyer struck. Ms. Clark. Let me correct 2 errors. First, that house wasn't yours, it's my client's property. Second, your police report clearly states you lost nothing. Diana stammered. I just forgot at the time. My lawyer pressed on. Assuming these gold bars exist, who can verify this? Diana shrilled. Me. I saw John bring them home myself. I even locked them in the safe. My lawyer scoffed. Silence speaks volumes. Another derisive snort. Pure disdain. Near tears. Diana pleaded. Your Honor. There were gold bars. I handled them myself. The judge's forehead creased deeply. You're claiming these were John's? Yes. Do you have purchase receipts? Payment records? The judge sighed. The burden of proof lies with the accuser. Understand? Without evidence, this becomes defamation, grounds for criminal charges. Comprehend? The judge lectured Diana and the Wilsons at length about legal principles, gotta admit. He was impressively thorough. I listened with relish. Between his points, I mentally praised John. John. You were so thorough laundering those assets, how else could I've gotten this money so easily? Exiting the courtroom, Diana and the Wilsons charged toward me again. With 100 million in gold bars at stake. Would they ever give up? But I'd learned my lesson, no way I'd let them attack me repeatedly. Their charge was halted 60 feet away by bodyguards. Our attorney stood behind the bodyguards. The estate division between both parties has been completed. Should you have further inquiries? Please contact me directly. My client will no longer entertain any communication. Should you attempt to approach her again, I'll immediately file a police report with the authorities on her behalf. He glanced at Diana. Ms. Clark. I particularly caution you, not everyone gets second chances. Diana shrank back, abandoning her aggressive stance. She tugged at Mrs. Wilson's sleeve. Mom. Ivy took all the money. What about my baby? Mrs. Wilson's eyes regained focus as she patted Diana's belly. Don't worry, dear. John transferred substantial assets before, well, even 1/3 of what's left remains considerable. She shot me a venomous look I ignored. Turning to enter my car. The rehabilitation center called as I started the engine. Ms. Peter. Your in-law's monthly fees are due. Shall we mail the invoices to your residence? We've completed estate division. I clarified. John's deceased. And I'm no longer related to the Wilsons. They just received their inheritance, bill them directly. Ending the call, I tossed my phone playfully. Let's review their medical extravagance. Full body MRI. $1. 100 pocket change. Genetic testing. $4. 100 negligible. Premium stem cell therapy. $68. 000 chump change. The real kicker? Those daily indulgences Indonesian birds nest at $790 per 100 g. Premium sea cucumbers at $1. 100 per 250 g. How many servings had Diana consumed as the delicate expectant mother? Every luxury enjoyed would soon demand payment. There's no free lunch, fate always collects. And I happened to be fate's instrument. Over subsequent days, 3 numbers bombarded my phone. I kept the line active, savoring their impotent rage. My attorney updated me after settling medical debts. The Wilsons retained barely 6 figures. They'd returned to their crumbling walk-up apartment, ironic, considering they descended from those very streets. With pensions and no debts, they could have lived comfortably, if not for the ticking time bomb. 1 month later, the Wilsons and Diana wailed outside my gates. Ivy, have mercy. Save John's only child. Diana scrambled past security, howling. My baby needs heart surgery. You're the top cardiothoracic surgeon. I called my former hospital. The chief confirmed congenital defect requiring immediate correction. Without intervention, lifelong medication and sudden death risks. Mrs. Wilson implored. This is John's flesh and blood. Funny. I smiled icily. I carried John's child too. Remember? You blamed me for miscarrying while working. Called it divine punishment for being career-driven. All along, you knew Diana caused my miscarriage. Mr. Wilson stammered. Ancient history. This child is irrelevant to me. I cut in. When you protected Diana's criminal record over my dead child, you forfeited any claim to compassion. As security restrained the sobbing Diana, I turned away. Let them learn how cosmic justice tastes. It was my fault. All my fault. But please save my child. The baby is innocent. Diana, do you think I don't want to help? I suddenly laughed. Diana widened her eyes at me. When your father came to me with chest pain, I diagnosed acute cardiac obstruction and immediately scheduled surgery. My skills weren't enough to save him. When you pushed me in your rage, causing me to lose my own child, I accepted it. But after you saw the medical records proved you wrong, did you ever apologize? Were you secretly relieved that losing my baby removed the last obstacle between you and John? Diana's lips trembled soundlessly as she begged. I was wrong. But please examine my child. I'm begging you. I'd initially thought grief drove your violence. But when John arrived holding you, whispering comforts, I realized the truth. You believed I'd discovered your affair and intentionally botched your father's surgery as revenge. That's why you attacked me. As the top cardiac surgeon, I'd been too busy saving lives to notice my own husband's 2-year affair. Naively, I thought supporting John through his startup days, funding his business with my surgical earnings, would make our marriage as strong as his company. I gave absolute trust. He trampled it. You're disgusting, Diana. I smiled coldly. But not everyone shares your depravity. I noticed your abnormal complexion during that police station encounter. Traditional diagnostic methods told me your child had issues. Those specifics eluded me. Why would I warn you? I wanted to see karma unfold. How ironic, congenital heart defect. The one surgery only I could perform. My smile sharpened. Remember when you pushed me? My hand caught the table edge, severing tendons. I extended my scarred hand. Why do you think I resigned? Just grief? Horror dawned in Diana's eyes. You can't. My hands are ruined. No more scalpels. I laughed bitterly. When I wanted justice, John and his parents stopped me. Poor Diana, they said. Don't ruin a young girl's life over minor injuries. As if my dead child and career were minor. This villa was John's hush money, blood money from my lost child and profession. I barely registered the Wilsons leaving, consumed by bleak determination. Years later, my successor called. The child needs lifelong medication now. If only, he sighed, unaware of my connection to Diana. Such a tragedy. After hanging up, I finally unearthed the safe buried under toadstools behind the villa. 22 pounds of gold bars, John's entire startup fund I'd secretly converted, fit neatly in a shoebox. The final reckoning came when John arrived with divorce papers, citing Diana's pregnancy. My empire needs heirs, he said coldly. Since you're barren now. I laughed freely for the first time in years. When I'd lost everything, child, career, love, his cruelty had shattered me. Now, seeing his transactional worldview laid bare, the scales fell from my eyes. How strange, a woman's clarity always sharpens as her emotional attachments wither. When emotions fade, clarity sharpens. In a single heartbeat, without conscious effort, a flawless plan crystallized in my mind. I'd known for weeks that John's car had brake issues. He'd meant to fix it that day. But I made sure he didn't. I also knew he'd booked Diana into the most exclusive private maternity hospital across state lines, where she'd already been admitted. His route to her, Highway 4, wound through a treacherous stretch of narrow lanes and hairpin curves flanked by 100-foot drops. John had always hated managing digital accounts. I'd set up most of his devices, including the phone tracking app now blinking on my screen. As his dot approached the death curve, I called. We fought viciously. I swore I'd never grant him divorce papers. Vowed to drag this out until we both rotted. Road rage always made John reckless. The angrier he got, the harder his foot pressed the gas. At a certain speed, those faulty brakes would become decorative. Watching his moving dot, I abruptly softened my tone. John? What's your speed right now? 110. He snapped reflexively. Goodbye, John. The universe always balances the scales. Had he not tried to destroy me first, perhaps our story would have ended differently. Beyond my window, sunlight pierced the smog. My life stretched long ahead, somewhere in that brightness. Dawn would find me again.